Hey y'all, welcome to homework video number 2. You can call this kingdom characteristics. You're going to want to jot down all the different things you see in this video. I'm going to hold up several posters, including the standard. So, we're working with standard B8C, and it says, compare characteristics of taxonomic groups, including archaea, bacteria, protists, fungi, plants, and animals. So, there is a lot to this standard, right? But the major thing I want to point out to you and have you focus on is this word compare. So what you're going to have to be able to do with this is look at an organism and decide what kingdom it belongs to based on a list of qualities or characteristics that you're given. So a lot of times you're going to see a paragraph describing an organism that you've never heard of in your life. And that's okay. Because what you're going to know after this video are different characteristics that say, okay, if it's got this one thing, it belongs to fungi. Or if it's got this one thing, then it's a plant. So this is going to be a really helpful thing for you to grab onto so that you can think about this as you go through the week and keep all these different kingdoms separate, because that's what you're going to have to be able to do on a test or a quiz or something like that. So I would copy down all of this information in a way that makes sense to you, so that you have it with you to get the week started. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so the first kingdom we're going to look at is Eubacteria. Eubacteria, the couple distinguishing characteristics for it is that it's prokaryotic cells. So only 2 kingdoms are going to have prokaryotic cells, meaning cells without a nucleus, and Eubacteria is one of them. Eubacteria is common bacteria. This is the stuff that you interact with on a daily basis that sometimes makes you sick, sometimes it doesn't. And lastly, Eubacteria has cell walls that contain something called peptidoglycan. So this word right here is one you're definitely going to want to tuck away and remember that those contain peptidoglycan. On the flip side, our second bacterial kingdom is called Archaeobacteria. So again, prokaryotic cells. That won't really help you when you're thinking about it in terms of the Eubacteria, but compared to every other kingdom, that is unique. The last thing that's important about Archaeobacteria is that it is found in extreme environments. And so places like hot water vents or volcanic vents or in very salty environments. And so as you learn this week, you'll see ways to recognize names for organisms that live in extreme environments, but that is something that you need to keep in mind, because you, as a human being, will probably never ever come in contact with Archaeobacteria, unlike Eubacteria. The next kingdom we want to talk about is fungi, okay? And the major characteristic that separates fungi is that it has cell walls that contain chitin. That is how you say that word, chitin. So if you see this word, chitin, in a description about an organism, you automatically know it belongs to the fungi kingdom. The next one is Protista. So Protista, or the protist kingdom, is very unique. And the reason it's so unique is because it's so vague, meaning it's not really distinct from others. And so what I mean by that is that it's eukaryotic cells. That's one way to distinguish what it is. So it has cells that contain a nucleus. At the same time, protists can almost be what I say is everything, meaning they can be unicellular, they can be multicellular, they can be autotrophic, they can be heterotrophic. And so these guys, they can have cell walls, they cannot have cell walls. So these guys we sometimes call the junk drawer of organisms, because so many things that don't seem to fit in any other category fit in the protist kingdom. And so a couple of common examples are amoeba or euglenas. Those are the ones that you'll see a lot of. Paramecium, you'll see a lot of those as the protists. All right, Plantae is our next one. Plantae, or plant kingdom, the number one way, it's kind of like fungi, the number one way to notice this is that it has cellulose in the cell walls. And so when you bite into a vegetable, or when you break a leaf or something, that or the crunch noise, that's the cellulose in the plant breaking its cell walls. And so that is one way to distinguish the plant kingdom. The last one is the Animalia kingdom, or animals, okay? And so animals, they don't have cell walls. And so it's kind of easy sometimes to recognize an animal because that's the thing we're so familiar with. But I don't want to assume that we always are going to know what an animal is. And so animals don't have the cell walls. They're eukaryotic, just like plants. And then animals are also heterotrophs, which is something important to keep in mind if you want to jot that down. They're heterotrophs, meaning that they have to get their food or their energy source from something else. They don't produce their own. So those are the kingdoms and kind of a quick preview of the distinguishing characteristics that you need to know so that you can be successful at Standard B8C. Bye, guys.